Hi, this is David. Welcome to a video review for the next chapter in Golin and Delhaize's book, The Bank Credit Analysis Handbook. And this is a video review of Chapter 2, which is called The Credit Analyst. It follows the previous chapter, which was the credit decision. And so there's only 4 learning objectives associated with this reading, and you can see there all the describe action verbs. And so it doesn't sound like a lot. However, we have many slides to get through, and mostly they are lists of considerations related to the jobs and duties of a credit analyst in terms of quantitative, qualitative, some comparisons, and some different classifications. And so with that, let's start with the first one. Describe, compare, and contrast various credit analyst roles. And so the authors say that the role of most credit analysts is to facilitate risk management, whether at the level of the individual firm or at the level of national policy. And so within the private sector, the responsibility of credit analysts operating in this risk management capacity is to research prospective customers and counterparties, prepare credit reports for internal use, to make recommendations concerning transactions and risk limits, and to generally facilitate the risk management of the organization as a whole. And then in contrast to the private sector, then within the public sector, bank examiners are employed by agencies that regulate financial institutions. As part of their supervisory function, they undertake independent reviews of specific institutions, typically from a credit perspective. Then we also have rating agency analysts who evaluate issuers, counterparties, and debt issues from a similar perspective, where their main mission is to provide unbiased analysis. And of course, as we've read elsewhere, they have been accused in the past of being biased through their compensation approach. Credit analysts involved in investment selection represent a smaller portion of the field. Most credit analysts that perform this function can be classified as fixed income analysts. For both the fixed income analyst and the equity analyst, the main objective is to reach a conclusion as to whether a particular investment will generate the expected return and whether it is more apt to exceed expectations or to fall short of them. And so then, as part of the key feature of this chapter really is classifications, I would say. So then we have credit analysis can be categorized into 4 fields based on the type of entity analyzed: consumer, corporate, financial institution, obviously including banks, and then sovereigns, or municipals, which would be subnationals. In terms of consumer credit analysis, the consumer credit analysis only rarely engages in intensive examination of an individual's financial condition. Most consumer credit analysis is highly mechanized through the use of scoring models and similar techniques, and unless concerned with modeling, systems development, or collateral appraisal, consumer credit models often tend to be broadly clerical in nature. And so you can see features of the consumer credit analysis tend to be less about the individual and more about the portfolio, and therefore they highly granular portfolios lends itself well to big data analysis. Corporate credit analysis, well, these instruments are lumpier than consumer. So corporate credit analysts evaluate the risk of non-financial companies for purposes of lending to such organizations, holding their securities, or providing goods or services. Corporate credit analysis tends to be more specialized by industry and also more oriented toward specific transactions. While corporate credit analysis itself is an area of practice, within the field as a whole, analysts concentrate on industry sectors. And so, like we tend to see in equity analysis, there is a tendency to specialize within an industry.